You know him, you know me. Let's get to it. So Josh and I just went on our first ever hunting trip together. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm surprised it actually took this long. I think part of that, honestly, was most of the kind of hunting you do, I would be afraid I would die if I tried to follow you. So, but
not on this hunt.
This is a little more low key, a little more kickback, which is a good time. Some of you may be aware that I'm not in as good a shape as Dan. And he can be a little frightening when he's hiking up a hill. So a little level of intimidation.
Bought an archery shop. I tried to allude to it.
I built an archery shop. I didn't buy one.
Oh, yeah. You established one. We kind of tried to allude to it when we had Brandon on the pod.
Well, we weren't sure what that was. Yeah, but that was.
Well, we didn't really I thought you guys might leak it then, but then no. And then I just found out via a YouTube thumbnail of I bought an archery shop in Nashville.
That's what you don't get for not calling for a month and a half.
So what happened? You opened up shop in Nashville?
Long story short, my freight bill for operating Podium Archery on the outgoing freight, because we cover all the freight of over $99, like we pay it.
Yeah.
And I just got my statement. I should have my end of year, but I only have like 11 months in it, and it was $410,000 in freight costs. Because we're shipping from we're shipping from Spokane, right? So we're shipping things to Florida from Spokane. It's a long ways. And I started now that we're at the level we're at, which our online store has been growing at a pretty good pace, and it's a dollar amount large enough now that I'm like, okay, if I can save 30% on shipping, that's a lot of money. You know, I bet you by the time the annual comes out, it's like 460 or 470,000, because we had a big December. That's probably how much I spent in freight, and I can save a third of that by shipping out of a better location. And there's a large percentage of the population that's within like 6 hours of Nashville, Tennessee. I wasn't even thinking about Nashville, to be honest. When I first started thinking about this, I was thinking of, my hunting mind, just like you. It was like, maybe I can buy a chunk of dirt in the middle of nowhere that's in a better place to ship out of.
Iowa.
That I could hunt. Well, I was actually thinking, I think it was Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas.
Yeah.
Middle.
Yeah.
Right. But what I didn't think about is where's the population. I should have looked at a map of population. Yeah, unfortunately, one of my reps, and I will not disclose who because he asked me not to, asked me about Nashville. Like, he called me on a hunting trip. He was like, hey, I know you're looking for a better place to ship of. Have you thought about here?
Yeah.
It's like, because there's not really a great archery shop here for some reason. And there's a massive population, and it's close to a whole bunch of population of people. And there's not a great archery shop, which, no offense to anybody in that area, most of them don't stock hardly anything. And, that's not how I roll. So I went, no, I hadn't, but I'll look into it. And literally I hung up the phone and called Brandon. like click, what's going on down there? And he gave me a whole bunch of backstory, and I was like, hey, okay, I am going to be worked out the logistics of what I needed to do, and it was either going to be before my Midland trip or after my Midland trip that I would fly to Nashville instead of flying home and have Brandon drive me around. I said, well, I need to look for a building, and I have a limited time period to make this decision because the conclusion of that company is they were going to give it to somebody else if I didn't do it. So I had to get down there and hurry and find something. And it was, we did a whole, first day we drove around all the areas, like within 45 minutes of downtown, this is this area, there's growth potential here, like just from a real estate standpoint. Like,
which Brandon McDonald is probably the best resource for this experience.
Yeah, well, and honestly, just dead serious, if Brandon didn't live down there, I probably wouldn't have done it. Because I had a very short time window to get this done, because I got the phone call in August and I was there in October.
How did you meet Brandon?
Originally, Brandon came up here to hunt bears with you, and he came by the shop.
You guys met on that trip?
Yeah, that's when I first met him.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it all started at. We actually spent several days together in San Antonio on that tech that we did as a group, and then we got to really know each other. Developed a bit more of a bond there, and then stayed in contact a lot. Me, James, and Brandon.
He's the coolest dude.
He's great.
By far.
But then he got really excited because he's always been pissed there's not really a good shop down there, and it's even hard to get products. And it's like,
I trust me, Josh. I hear
retail
about it from lots of guys complaining on comments or messages. They're really frustrated with what they have in their area, and I've probably always taken it for granted, to be honest. Like, what? Your shop doesn't have this many different bows and this many different arrows and all the stuff on the shelves, and you guys that know what they're doing, it's not the norm.
Yeah.
But we're going to change that over time.
Well, we hope so. But anyway, got down there, find something, and walked into the store I eventually signed my papers on. And it was a restaurant. But it was like laid out perfect. It was decorated already really good. It was like more of a rusticy feel, like, you know, rough cut. I think it was poplar and like metal roofing all over stuff. You know, it was cool. I was like, this thing's awesome. I only have to like hang racks on the wall, change a whole bunch of lighting because oh my god, it was dark in there. There's track lighting everywhere. There's track lighting in there, and I bought like 8 different batches of like 10 track lights from Amazon, trying them out and seeing what lit up everything. And I was actually able to relight the whole building well without actually bringing in an electrician.
Lighting can really change the vibe.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it was cool to walk into, but it's like you can't even see things on the walls. Now I've got directional light on every wall. I've got generic light everywhere. Changed out every light bulb in there. I think there was like 60 or 70 light fixtures with just regular light bulbs in them. Changed them all out to bright things, and it was like, oh, wow, this is pretty good. So redid the buffet to make a workstation and knocked out a couple of small walls to open up some space and framed up an area for a YouTube studio. So when you come down and visit, I'll have a whole formal thing, not quite as bougie as what I'm sitting in right now, but a space to be able to film podcasts and film bow builds and product reviews, because I intend to try to do a bunch of them down there to help drive attention to that store. And, you know, because it'll look different, and we'll acknowledge.
What's the name of the store?
Nashville North Archery.
I like it. Very straightforward. How many employees did you hire?
Right now we're at 5.
You went from 0 to 5.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to have people walk in there and not have help while they wait and a cool environment and product. I'm just not, because that's what that area needs to see over the next year to realize, okay, here's where I'm going.
What are you going to carry when it comes to bows?
All of them. I have Hoyt, Matthews, Bowtech, PSC, Prime, Elite, Darton, every major bow you could ask for, other than APA, because no offense, hardly anybody asked for it.
I don't even know what that is.
And Expedition. Yeah, I don't have Expedition. They haven't sent me a bow to review, so like if you're not cognizant enough to be like, hey, we need to have this guy review a bow, you're not paying attention to this industry at all.
What about warehouse to ship stuff, fulfillment center?
So I'm working with right now the building itself is 6,000 square feet, so it's bigger than what we're in currently.
Yep.
And we're operating everything out of that, pro shop and shipping. But I'm going to sit down with the city and see if they'll approve me building a building behind it that's over twice the size, and that'll be fulfillment.
So you probably are looking at some sort of purchase here.
Yeah, I have a lease with option to buy already, so the terms have already been done. But the first term point is 4 months. So I need to know the city's going to approve what I want before I just commit to buying it.
Are you going to buy a truck down there or drive down there?
I'm going to send my dad's truck down there. My dad's old 2001 F-150.
How do you send a vehicle?
That's like $2,000, and you truck it down there.
I think that's smart.
Or I can drive it. I've contemplated driving it. It might be, I know, but that truck only has 100,000 miles on it. I'd have my buddy Travis go through everything, change all the fluids, like a full shebang service, everything you could possibly do to the rig. Check it out, make sure everything's good. Hook a small enclosed cargo trailer on it, fill it full of crap from up here to take down there, and take the world's most epically frightening road trip and drive it down there.
Especially this time of year.
It's 30. Well, I'll probably wait till it warms up a little bit. But
you could also
it's 31
advertise
hours.
your 30-hour drive and be like, hey, are you along my stop? I will come do a content tour as I drive down.
So one of them is I'd be driving right through Matthews. So I could do a content stop at Matthews easily. My sales rep, Evan, he's into predator hunting with night vision shit.
Oh.
And he just got his buddy gun, he calls it. So he built another one so he can take somebody with him.
Yep.
And he called me the other day. He's like, hey, 2 weeks from now, my buddy gun will be ready whenever you want to come down. So I was like, oh, I go predator hunting over the weekend or something like that with Evan, do some
So is that
content. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Have you done that yet?
No. I actually have one and I haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay.
I just haven't had time. I bought it a while ago and haven't dinked with it.
Well, that's pretty exciting. How are you going to split your time?
So I'm going to try to be in Nashville a week a month minimum for the next year. If it goes well and it's profitable, I'll buy a house down there. So I'm not paying rent or anything. Or I'm currently staying at the Hampton Inn, which is across the street.
Okay.
Which is kind of nice. You get up in the morning, you got free coffee, free breakfast, which I'll end up like making a breakfast sandwich and putting it in foil and eating it later because I don't eat that early in the morning. But it's part you're paying for it, so you might as well save yourself the cost of a meal. Walk across the street, and I'm at the archery shop. They always put me on the back side so I can look out the window and see the archery shop at night, which is cool. But there's a couple different things. There's a piece of property behind it that has a burned down house on it. But I think rumor is the landowner wants like commercial rate for the acreage. Well, it's a she, but it doesn't have like frontage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how in the world they're ever going to get commercial out of it. But if they'd ever sell it for just, hey, it's a burned down 5 acres and, there's a foundation there, maybe I'd build a house on that. But I don't know. My intention would be to try to find a house that might rent well on Airbnb or VRBO, and then just block it off when I'm going to be there and have it for rent. You'd want to not
have a house next to your archery shop like here.
I know. But still, my brain went, well, it's right behind me, and I'm contemplating trying to rent the property to put like a little 3D course up on it, because it's actually 4 acres of hill and timber that you'd have to literally cut like tunnels through what you're shooting at.
That's cool, though.
Yeah, so I thought about that and went, if I got that, I'd call James and tell him he needs to come down here for a week and make a 3D course, because he loves doing that crap.
Yeah.
He has his own deal down in outside of San Diego that he puts on every year, and they would like to advertise that it's harder than TAC.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's a neat little setup, and they do it at a campground, so everybody stays there. So there's like 300, 400 people.
And it's not burned down?
No, it's not burned down yet. Wrong part of California. It's a little south.
California is heavy on my heart. I feel for them. What about? Okay, we got to move on because we're living on time. But I will say, girlfriend, cool with all this? Is she gonna move with you for a week?
She went with me over New Year's.
Has she ever been to Nashville?
No, that was her first time to Nashville.
Thoughts?
But it was mostly work. Honestly, didn't get to experience a lot, and that was partially my fault. Brandon was supposed to like take us out one night on the town, so because we've never don't know anything, right? But he had a medical thing come up and didn't have time. So, and I didn't take it upon myself to do that, and I should have. So, if she was listening, sorry, I didn't take you out. I should have. That's my bad.
Rain check.
I just got so focused on how much needed to get done, and I started looking at the clock. Like the first couple of days was like, yeah, cool, we're working, right? But then I'm like, there's 4 days left, and I'm like, I gotta get this done. I gotta get this done. I gotta get this done. I mean, I was there till 7, 8 o'clock at night. Just getting there first thing in the morning. Now, granted, if she didn't want to do anything, she could just hang out at the hotel or take the rig I rented and run into town if she wanted to do something, right? But I don't think it was all that fun, and that was kind of bad. My bad. I should have done a little better there.
It's kind of stressful.
It's
opening
hard.
A new.
Well, it's hard to turn it off. Like I don't.
How do you?
Well, about as good as you do.
So we literally got back late Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
I was here at 5:30 in the morning the next day. Hadn't really seen my family. My
Yeah.
wife was running kids to practices, and I'm on Texas time. So when she got home at 8:30, I was already asleep.
Yeah. I actually I tried to shift my time back, so I stayed up till 10 or 10:30.
Oh, nice.
Even though I was tired.
I wish I could have.
Well, I still woke up at 4. Like, oh shit.
Might as well get started.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
man.
laid there for about 10 minutes and was like, well, this is dumb. Just get up and go.
Yeah, I love that. And you finally I'll make coffee. I'll go.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the Elk Immersion Experience. It's not sold out. We raised the price. We added 2 days.
Yeah, I think that's probably overlooked. I think that anybody who was maybe looking at last year saw that it was more expensive this year and maybe got butthurt about it, possibly. We're adding so much more to it because we ran into things that we wished we could have provided that we didn't because we didn't have enough time. We wanted to do a better job than we did. And I think just about everybody that participated in last year's was excessively impressed with what they got. But we wanted to step it up a little more. One, I didn't like the fact that I only had the time to work on people's bows with them and not do anything else. Like, because that consumed my entire time. So shifting that model a little bit, we're going to have everybody's bows done at the same time on the same day. It's going to require me to have a whole bunch more equipment, but I don't care. I want to get that out of the way. So when everybody goes through any other stage of this, their bow's already been rebuilt. Not, oh, well, we're going to do this, but we're going to rebuild your bow tomorrow. So I didn't like that part of it, and I think we all acknowledged that needed to be different somehow. There wasn't enough like classroom time with certain things that we really wanted to have, and there needed to be more form fundamentals and critique, and there needed to be a little more dedicated time for actually getting your bow resighted and getting a sight tape done. And we wanted to butcher an animal, which when we originally first talked about this, I was like, I want to cut up an animal in front of people.
Yes.
Because how many people have actually done that when they're trying to learn how to hunt? Well, your freaking nephew was YouTubing how to cut up an elk. Your nephew.
Yep.
Guilty.
Yeah, I wasn't there with him.
You should have known. You should have taught him, right? But that's the reality of all these situations, right? Is how do you get that? Like you could probably YouTube it and study it, but a lot of people will get to that moment and go, oh my God, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, thank God he had cell phone service.
Right? Yeah, if you didn't have cell phone service, think of the hack job that would have been.
My buddy he's actually helping out at the Immersion, Mike Edgehouse, has this Cut Right mobile app where it's got all the recipes and how to like cut up an animal. I think it's $15 a year, and he adds more content to it. But like you can download everything, so you know how to make every cut in and out of the field, which is kind of cool. Like
that's
difference
fantastic.
Top round, bottom round, so you don't screw. And so I wish I now know about it, but I didn't. So Riley has that app now, which is cool. But
that seems like it's worthwhile. I'd probably pay for that.
We'd get that elk cut up. We are going to do an elk, and we're going to have Joel there too, who's probably the best butcher. Have you ever seen him cut up?
No, I've heard rumors. I've heard the mythical butcher that is Joel Turner.
He's good at everything he does.
Yeah, that is annoying. It's very much annoying, but he's got that gift. I've known several people like that. My cousin's like that.
Oh,
He's good at everything he does, and I hate him for it.
Yep.
So anytime I can beat him at anything, it feels really good.
Yeah, it's cool that we're having Bodie and you, because everyone's bow will be done by the second day.
Yeah, the first full day.
First full day, Bodie and you will have a lot of time to work on form, fit, fundamentals, and then all the little stuff that Bodie probably forgot about and realized, because I pick up a lot from him.
Yeah.
I just think he has a lot of hours behind the bow. I know he does.
Oh,
I think he might have more hours behind the bow than most people ever could have. Like, that's all he's done since he could walk.
Yeah, he may be able to actually, when he does pass away as an old man, will probably have shot more arrows than anybody that ever lived. Because he started so young at such a high clip.
Yep.
And I don't see him ever giving that up.
He was on this pod, and he was talking about when it's not going good, like this time of year when he's getting ready to go win tournaments, he may play 15 games a day because it's not going good. The setup, something's off. What's 10 times 30? That's 300. 450 arrows a day for several days in a row until he gets that bow absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, if you're shooting a Vegas round and not shooting with anybody else, you can burn through a Vegas round pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, but understand professional archers, that's their job.
Yeah.
How many hours a day do you work?
Yeah.
More than 8, right?
Yeah.
I work more than 8. So if you're just, average, working 8 hours a day, right? That's at least that many. I mean, that's at least 8 hours of shooting, 9 hours of shooting.
Yeah.
You should be able to do that because you shouldn't ever get fatigued as a professional archer.
Yeah.
You should shoot way more arrows in practice than you ever would in a tournament.
Well, what he said on the pod was his biggest thing he wanted to do at art is to go up to the sheep target and the uphill bears and have everybody like look at their sight. He could figure it out and sight in third axis, like shoot it in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's so valuable.
Yeah.
Because I think most people leave the shop with a decent sight tape. Maybe you data sight tape for a few weeks and you kind of get the right number, but then you don't really go do sight in third axis.
Right.
And how many people have your little doodad that gets it close?
Well, 40 at the moment, but
are those shipping?
They hopefully next week. They've got 100 of them built there at the powder coater, and they.
What do you call it?
The Podium Drawboard. I don't know. I think that's what I put down. I gotta give it.
That
a
makes
different
sense.
Name. Well, but yeah, it's a drawboard and a third axis tool, so it's kind of both.
You probably need to put that in the name.
Yeah, probably. I'll go back and look at it. I haven't. I filmed the video for it, but I haven't actually put it out yet, so I can still change it. So give it a different name. But yeah, they're pretty confident they can do 100 a month. So we'll see what it'll actually do. It's really unfortunate. The whole previous one was a bit of a disaster, and it's taken forever. And that original order still isn't complete.
It will be.
But I'm using somebody else. And I don't think he knows I'm using somebody else, to be honest. But I really don't care. Their turnaround's way quicker.
I promise you.
Well, you never know. But I'm not like worried about it. It's fine. It's just like you clearly dropped the ball. It's been like a year and you still haven't finished my original order. So I sourced it somewhere else and saved a crap ton of money and actually made it to where it's profitable because I was literally fulfilling my original order and gonna trash it because it got so expensive to make that I was like, well, I'm not gonna make this product for more than I have it published at this price because I don't think that's fair. So either I got to figure out how to make this, and I improved it and put better equipment in it and reduced the weight and reduced the size significantly and simplified some of it and made it to where you can take it apart and put it back together if something fails internally. Every facet of it, just it's way better and it's the same price.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully it'll cost less to ship. So, but we're supposed to be getting those next week and fulfilling the rest of the orders that still exist before we announce a video. I won't do it until I know I have at least some in stock.
Yeah.
And I know I have a pipeline coming behind it, and then I can really start talking about it. And who knows? I know how many last chance drawboards we sell, and it's a pretty significant amount. So I'm hoping we can sell 100 a month. But
I think you could. So we at the Elk Immersion last year, we had to buy 5 workstations. And we put 3 guys at a workstation, and everybody rotated 45 attendees through.
Over 3 days.
And basically, they disassembled and reassembled their bow, putting new strings, and then obviously checking tune. It was great. It was incredible. Point being, a lot of the guys were like, how do I buy this setup? And it's the same setup you've seen in my studio. That's actually not mine. That's the Elk Immersion's. I keep it here. We'll take it down to the Elk Immersion. But what we're thinking for 25 is, we're going to have 15 of those suckers, which is so expensive. But anyways, we're going to sell them at a discounted price so that guys that have already signed up, if you are driving here, plan on if you want to buy an entire setup, and I'll have Josh run through everything that he can rattle off. You can take it with you. Or if you're like, I want to buy it, but I don't want to throw it on the airplane, we can just ship it from Spokane to your house so that when you get home, you can set up your own mini bow shop. And I still go to Spokane Valley Archery to this day to have some things done, but I can do a lot here, if not everything. It's nice to be able to have both. What is included in that kit?
That'll have the bow press setup. Will have a drawboard, a bow press, a floor stand with a wheel kit, a plate that keeps all your tools sorted on it. Magnetic stuff. Yeah, I always buy magnetic stuff, and I just buy the cheap ones at Harbor Freight because they do fine. But a couple of magnet trays, it's amazing. Almost everything you pull off your bow is metal, so you can just toss it on the magnet tray. It doesn't end up on the ground. Full set of tools, what you'd need, and 3 sets of fingers.
Yep.
So any bow that possibly exists, you have fingers for, and there's a mount bracket for that. So it's cool little setup. I mean, it's in my personal opinion, the minimum a guy needs to be able to fully work on his bow. Yep. And so that's what I built.
I love it. Well, Precision Cut Archery's coming, Tristan. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be nice to have him with his little lab radar, Garmin, and computer printer, and just everyone will have their sight tape, no excuses. You'll have, that'll save a ton of time. Mm-hmm. And it'll be cool for him to be able to show off his little, because Archer's Advantage is what we used to use forever and ever and ever. Yeah. But I think it's a little bit easier to use his system, quite honestly.
Sure.
So what else we got? Oh, Jared Lyle and his team, Huntingful, which I think I said this on the other pod with Joel and Bodie. The crux of elk hunting is having a tag in your pocket that says you are legally good to go.
Yeah, that's the reality of it. I mean, if you're not using that service, you're an idiot.
The end.
Serious. Do you want to hunt? All right, if you're only going to hunt your own state, then fine, I get it. But if you're trying to put into other states or things like that, and you're not using the largest resource for what's the best path for that, it's cheap. It is not expensive. If you're a guy who's putting into multiple states, you're spending money. Yeah. That is a cheap expense to allow somebody else to better dictate to you where you should be going, where you need to be putting into, the frequency in which you need to be doing it. And you give them a timeline of what you're trying to do things, and they will tell you if it's realistic or not, or what you need to adjust to make that a reality. You have unlimited access to their people. Anytime. You can call and talk to somebody for 3 hours, whenever you want. It's asinine that they're not more popular than they are, which they've grown at a ridiculous rate too. But for having been around as long as they are, that they're not as well known. So
no, it'll be cool.
Hopefully we can fix that.
Plus, OnX has they're sending over guys for the camp, and they'll be doing like their research tools, which is pretty dang handy. And e-scouting, man, most of you guys I can see the list of people signed up. Not that many out west.
Yeah.
I live out west. I struggle to get boots on the ground when I get a tag.
Yeah.
Just because of capacity.
Right.
Don't have it. So e-scouting, I can do that when everyone's in bed. I can stay up an hour later or get up an hour earlier, and I can get, you put a couple consecutive days of e-scouting and tilt that map, you can really start creating a hunt plan that'll maximize your time if you're interested in doing that. I'm pretty interested in maximizing my time and having success, and a lot of it has to do with knowing the lay of the land, all the roads, all the trails, all the bottlenecks, where the elk are likely going to feed, bed, and where they're going to seek refuge once pressure hits, and it's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming. Labor Day weekend, it's coming, and then any weekend in September, it's coming, and then middle of September on, it's coming. Right. I hunt over-the-counter stuff year over year. And I hate Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And I hunt my ass off Monday through Friday, and then I really start hunting weird places on the weekends. Right. Anyways.
Yeah, the weekend's almost a waste.
Elk Immersion, get signed up. We do have a military discount. It is the code is military10, whether you have served or are currently, and I'll even throw in if you're a first responder. If you're none of those, don't use that discount code. I will inspect what I expect. But it'll save you 10%. We have a chef literally who just sent me the menu. I don't want to pull it up, but like he already sent me the menu. Oh my, we're going to be eating well. Plus we're eating some of the elk meat.
Yeah.
But every day you're going to have an amazing breakfast, amazing lunch. And I should read. If I read the menu, I would sign up. I'm like, oh, that is we're going to eat well. You can camp on site or you can get a hotel.
I would just be cognizant of weather. Like we can't control the weather, and we don't know what it's going to be like. So if you're planning on camping, that's fine, but pay attention to the weather. And if it ends up like it's going to be really cold, you might want to stay in a hotel.
Yeah, or if it's raining, nonstop. I mean, we'll still do the camp, but you might want a dry place to shake it out. So that's our Elk Immersion plug. Get signed up. We have 20 spots remaining. Hey, we're going to interrupt the pod real quick to let you know about one of our favorite partners, Montana Knife Company out of Frenchtown, Montana. I've been to their factory. I've been to their facility. I've met their team members, and they're awesome. Josh Smith was introduced to me a while back. This is a guy who's been a master bladesmith since he was little, but also he was a blue-collar lineman who eventually got the gumption to go all in on himself. Him and Brandon started Montana Knife Company. They're kicking butt. They've been on my radar for a while, and I've been partnered for over a year now with Montana Knife. If you're in the market for a knife that you can pass down generation to generation, something that's fixed and is going to stay sharp and you can break down your elk, check out the Stone Goat, the Mini Goat, the Blackfoot. They have a variety of knives. They have drops that sell out every time. So head over to their social or their website or their YouTube. Check them out. Follow along to be notified when their next drop is. We will even do more down the road, exclusive ELKSHAPE drops like we did this year. That thing sold out. Montana Knife, great company, great people, amazing knife that will last you a lifetime. Hey guys, we're going to interrupt this podcast to let you know that we are brought to you by Matthews Archery. These guys are located up there in Sparta, Wisconsin. I've had the great honor to visit their headquarters twice and have 2 different factory tours. This is a world-class facility. More importantly, world-class people. And we are honored to be partnered with Matthews since 2019. If you get a chance, head over to a local dealer. Try the latest and greatest. We just wanted to thank Matthews for helping us bring you awesome content. Hey guys, we interrupt this pod to tell you about one of our awesome partners, Marsupial Gear out of Arizona. Jim Graham's a good friend of mine. He's been making arguably the best chest pack on the market. It is what I run. So no, the magnets on the chest rig do not interfere with phones, compasses, things like that. But what they do is keep debris and brush out of your binoculars and out of your lens, your objectives, everything like that. Keeps it clean, it's quiet, it's seamless. You can also run the rangefinder pouch as well as other accessories for your handgun and tools. It's a great seamless system, and they have multiple offerings so that you can pick the right color or camo breakup to suit your hunt. Check them out. Head over to their website to learn more. Back to the pod. I don't know how much time we have, so we better hurry.
35 minutes probably.
All right, we can spend about 5 minutes a day. We were there for a week. We met up. Hadn't seen you in a month and a half. We met at Archery Country in Austin, Texas.
Yep.
That was cool. Great shop.
Oh yeah, phenomenal shop. Those guys do a good job. The vibe in there is sick. Like if you haven't been in there, it's my vibe. I love it. Yeah. I like stuck behind the counter. I got there in the morning when the guys were there because I was putting Samantha's bow together because they had shipped it in there because they couldn't get it to me prior. Yeah. So, and I'm just sitting in there working with the guys, listening to them talk, and I'm like, this is just like being in my shop, and everybody's flipping each other's shit and telling cool stories. There's awesome music on the radio. I'm like,
good music, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool place. I get it. You know, it's done right, and the guy who owns that place, Tyler's sick. He's a good dude. Like kind of instant friends when we met. Sure. Real good dude. Look forward to trying to help any way I can with their growth and staying in touch and contact and maybe do some business with them at some point. But really good dude. So many stories. Oh, God, the guy's got so many stories. It's hilarious. But, yeah, met there, got her bow all dialed up, ended up doing like 5 private mini lessons as I was trying to get out of there because everybody kept asking stuff. They asked us if we would announce that we were going to be there like the night before, and a decent amount of people showed up before we left. And then got into Terry Black's, which I thought was really hard to get into, and we got lucky. I think it was the time we were going because we were going like late lunch time, so it wasn't bad. I mean, the parking lot was full, but you had to wait for somebody to pull out and take their spot.
What time did we eat?
It was like 1:30 or 2, I think.
That beef rib.
I would order that next time for sure. That was incredible.
I ate the Terry Black's, and I never ate again till the following day's breakfast after the hunt.
Right.
Like not even hungry at all.
Yeah, we stopped at a Whataburger at like midnight on our way out, and Dan's like, "Why are you hungry?"
It didn't make sense to me. I was so full.
Well, you, in all fairness, I think you ate more than anybody too.
Crushed.
You ordered a lot, and I was just like, "Damn."
That was $100 lunch for me.
Yeah,
I went all in.
I didn't do that. I tried to be sensible more than anything because I've been traveling so much, and I've been noticing my pants fitting a little tighter. I'm like, "You got to cut back, dog."
I hate that.
Like this is not good. So I've been trying to trim the meals down because it's so tough when you're traveling. You can't control what you're eating as well.
Went to our Academy Sports and Outdoors store.
Yep.
I went from the outside. A box store doesn't even look that cool. Whatever. Walked in. Holy shit!
A lot of cool shit in there.
That's a great store. I bought myself some new Hey Dudes.
Yeah, bought myself a couple. What was that Burley Bro or whatever? They had a couple of clearance.
I don't know how to say it, but
I don't know. But they had a couple
Burley
of
Bro. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a couple of clearance pieces because my little fella friend over here told me it wasn't going to be cold and you don't need any cold weather crap.
It was 83 degrees on Christmas Eve when I flew out.
And we get down there and it's freezing at night, and neither of us have cold weather gear, so I bought a couple of warmer pieces that were on clearance. It was
literally
so I had something
Texas, South Texas cold is colder than where we live because of that humidity.
Yeah, it feels ridiculously cold. So
the wind, the moisture.
Yeah.
Then we went to Ways to Well to
went to the
research.
Capitol building and then Ways to Well.
Oh, Capitol building.
Which was cool.
It's cool.
Apparently it's bigger than the federal Capitol building or something like that.
Huge.
It's like a foot.
You tried to get a knife through the
security? Like a foot taller. No, I was trying to hide my knife because I thought you couldn't take it through security. And they're like, no, you can bring that in here. Like, oh, okay, cool. I'd like left it outside on a bench, praying to God nobody took it. But yeah, it went through that. That was really cool looking. It's huge. It was under construction, so we really didn't get much for good shots on the outside of it. And then Academy Sports, and then
Ways to
Well.
To do some research.
And apparently they don't have somebody at the front, and we were just talking to a doctor because they do all that online because Dan's got a knee surgery and my Achilles feels weird. So we were contemplating that.
How does it feel now?
A little better, but still.
Okay.
Like if I try to stretch it, I can feel like this super sharp needly, like someone's stabbing the bottom of my foot.
I'm probably going to do a little bit more research. I'd like to not have to fly to Austin, but I think
I'm waiting to hear back if they're starting to do that up here.
Okay.
He's been talking about it. I don't know if he's ready to do it yet.
Cool thing is I could fly in and fly out the same day in Austin.
Yeah.
And get that. Going to have to wait a few weeks after the surgery, and then once you get those injected, you're going to basically not be able to do a lot that week. You got to be low key. So that was great information. And then we went to Lake Austin.
Yeah, I went to Lake Austin, had a coffee. We were just Googling where we could get coffee. Sat down on the lake, had a little broadhead talk. And man, that sun went down and got cold super fast.
And we got the hell out of there and went to this place called Comedy Mothership. Shout out to one of the most enjoyable evenings I've ever had.
That was phenomenal. Yeah, shocked.
We went there to go see Joe. We knew Joe was performing. You guys reached out and was so excited to see Joe perform.
Yeah.
had no idea that he brought all of his A-lister friends to perform that night. Name them.
Oh, let's see. Saragusa, Hinchcliffe, Gillis all performed that night. There were some other
Theo Vaughn.
Well, yeah, that's right. He was in the next room. So when the first one
Shane
finished
Gillis
out,
was insanely
yeah,
funny.
he's really good. When the first one finished out, Joe came out and introduced himself, said hi, said, hey, we're performing back in this other room. Come back here.
Yeah.
And so when we go in there, and Theo's in there doing shit, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
It's wild, but everybody but Theo, I guess, lives there now.
Oh,
so
okay.
I imagine that actually happens frequently.
That was a Tuesday night.
That was a Tuesday night in Austin. And it doesn't say who's performing. It just says the best of or something like that, right? But it doesn't tell you who. So everybody that went there, you have no idea who's popping out. That's
no
just a
proof
great thing.
of any of this happening.
Yeah, they lock up all your equipment. So you can't take a picture. You can't nothing. Can't take a camera in there, which is good because everyone's fully engaged in what's going on. And that's what they claim. I think it has more to do with they don't want their bits getting out before they perform them on a tour, right? Which makes sense too. But also, I get hey, we want everybody to be engaged in this. Nobody's on their phone. Nobody's doing anything. Just because comedians feed off the room, right? So if you're not engaged, that's something they're not getting, right? And they're filling out their audience.
And it's such a cool proving grounds for them to test their bits out.
But that's what he was building. He was doing that on purpose.
And then we were doing our own bit testing called broadhead testing in Tejas. So we got to the ranch 3 a.m.
Yep.
The same ranch I was 2 weeks ago, same ranch I went a year ago. One of my dear friends, his family ranch. It's not an outfit. I cannot tell you how many, and I bet you're going to get some. Hey, what's the name of the place you're hunting? None of your business. It's not.
Yeah,
you cannot hunt there.
This
You're
is
not
not
going.
this is not a guided hunt. This is not a ranch you can pay to be on. It's invite only, friends only, and I'm eternally grateful that you vouched for me and got me there because that place is amazing. I can't say enough good. People there are fucking incredible. Just I can't say enough good about it. I'd do anything I could to help and. Every effort taken, and I mean, I shot $2 the first morning, and was just like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'll keep hunting. Send me wherever you want to go.
That was my third time hunting there,
we got there so
never
late.
had a morning as good as your 2-hour sleep. You almost didn't even go.
Yeah, and that's the moral of the story too. Like we were all like, God, are we going? Because we got there at like 3 something. Well, yeah, you're a psycho, but we got they're like 3 something. We're like, okay, we're getting up at 5:30, and I'm like, fuck me, really in 2 hours? Like, yep. Like, okay. And I woke up and I looked at my clock and was just like, I'll never hear the end of it if I don't get up. So I'm getting up and going, and let that be a lesson to you. Let that be the moral of the story. And that is why I didn't get that on film. I didn't even bring my camera. I grabbed my bow. I grabbed my pack. Didn't have anything in it. Yep. Grabbed a cup of coffee, threw on my gear, and jumped in the rig and took off.
We threw you in literally the most productive area. I'd hunted that blind you were in 2 weeks prior. I don't know what's going on there, but it's just like it shifts every year on the ranch. The ranch is 10,000 acres. Like last year, the east side of the ranch was the hub. It is a ghost town. It is piggies and halves over there and like a doe. But where you were at, I sat it 3 times and it was just fire. I was just seeing so many different deer and it was incredible. So we put you there. Plus, I was hunting 1 buck specifically last time I was there and this time. So I'm like, I just showed you a video of him. Now you know why I was hunting him. And so we put you in that spot and with not a lot of instruction.
Zero. Pretty much zero.
Just kind of like,
hey, they
we
better
just
be
didn't
5.
have time to talk.
They got to be 5 at least, and
5.5 years old.
5.5. Well, I call it 5 because at that time it's always half, right? Yeah. They got to be 5.5. Anything that's a massive, mature 10-point is for the family, right? And dinks, like genetic defects, you're fine, green light, right? In general, but it was still like I feel like I need to take a picture of stuff. And I got my instructions, and I think probably on that spot, the nicest buck I'd have an opportunity to shoot walked right in 30 minutes in, and I'm looking at him, and my brain's like freaking out. I'm like, can I shoot this deer? I don't know. Like I'm looking with the binos, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can shoot this deer. And he comes in and shoots him, and then I immediately start freaking out. I'm going, holy fuck! I hope I was allowed to just shoot that deer.
Did I just shoot the wrong deer?
Because I just shoot the wrong deer, and I immediately texted Dan. It's like, I think I just wrote a check.
Yes.
and freaking.
Should probably explain that. So like, there is a trophy fee that the family does charge friends and family.
If it's over 150, you owe money.
Yeah. And that's. I mean, they have a huge feed bill.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of expenses. There's a ranch man. I mean, anyway, so I'm honored. I actually have still, spoiler alert, yet to write a check. I haven't shot.
And you really, really want to.
Well, the one I was hunting would definitely cost me, and I'm obsessed with him. And spoiler alert, I don't write a check. But yeah, so boom, Josh hits high-end buck right out the gates. Sends me that text. I think I just spent a trophy fee, and I'm like, hooray. I can't wait to find out. And then my buck steps out, and I have my little nephew Riley filming, and he comes out, and he is doing everything to not come to my shooting lane. And I'm like, it's all good. There's feet on the ground. He's the dominant buck in the air. He's pushing 160.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna come in and eat, and I'm gonna wait for the perfect shot. I don't want to take a marginal shot on this deer.
Yeah.
Especially anytime. But long story short is while he's out, my phone's put away. You send me a text.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you send me?
I said, I'm pretty sure the big 8-point just came in. Can I shoot him? ? Because I don't know if we never even discussed, are you allowed to shoot more than one deer? And yes, clearly, obviously you are, but I didn't even know that. I was just like, I know I was told this is a deer you want to shoot, but
and he's here.
And I'm like, Dan, like I even say like another one, ? Like, motherfucker, he's standing broadside in front of me for like 5 minutes. Like, get back to me. And you didn't, and he starts walking off. I think he saw a deer off in the distance and took like 10 steps or 15 steps that direction. He's quartering away a little farther out, farther than you'd want to shoot at a deer that might jump. All right. And I'm sitting there looking at my phone. God damn. And you finally go back. Definitely. I'm like, well, now you tell me.
Yeah. My deer leaves and I see your text and I'm like, oh, the big 8 oh yeah. 1,000% get him. Like, and I think I said house money because you're not going to have to pay a trophy fee for that buck. He's way past 5 years old. He's topped out at 140 and he's an 8.
Yeah, that's a big. Big 8.
You're gonna.
Well, he turns around and walks back in, and within like 5 minutes, he gives me an actual shot angle, and I sluice him, and they both ran in the same freaking direction, and they ended up running over the top of each other's trails.
Yeah, so when you have two blood trails merging into one trail,
it's a virtual nightmare. It's a virtual nightmare because you got to figure out where one of them left this trail, and that's hard because when you're tracking blood, your saving grace is if you find blood, you know that's the direction they went. Well, if they ran the same freaking thing, you don't know which one went where. So I found the 8-point like 10 minutes.
You double lunged him with the Grim Reaper.
They were both the Grim Reaper razor tip whitetail special.
How many blades is that?
3 and a 2-inch cut. Both of them had complete full pass-throughs, and the arrow went 20 yards beyond them. So lots of energy, lots of output, great penetration.
Great exits,
not great entrances. Little tiny, like smaller than your typical fixed blade broadhead because the razor tip has blades on the tip. So I think that cuts because those blades line up with that. Yep. And those blades don't open until it's inside. But that might have a lot to do with how I got 20 yards beyond them with a 2-inch cutting diameter mechanical.
That makes sense, yeah.
So it's probably similar to the premise of the Schwacker, but it's a 3-blade hole. And one of the pictures I had, we had the whole side showing, and it looks gruesome. Like it's a triangle
like good,
of death,
but bad.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Right. So in any event, I found him in like 10 minutes. I'm like, all right, cool. Look at him. And I start walking beyond him to see if the other buck take the same path. Does the blood keep going?
Yeah.
It doesn't. I was like, all right. So somewhere between here and back where they entered the brush, they separated.
Yep.
And I spent the rest of the time, like 30 minutes before you were supposed to be there, I stopped. I went back and got the buck and drug him out to the field and waited for you to get there.
And you drug him a different line so you wouldn't mess up the crime scene.
Yeah, so I wouldn't jack up the blood trail. I think I came maybe 10 yards back on the blood trail and then found a path that I could drag him through because everything's nasty, pokey, cuts you, make you bleed. And 3 days later, you're pulling shit out that you didn't know was there. But get it back over there. And I walked around at least an hour looking for the other buck.
Right.
And just started walking trails and saying, okay, well, this was on here and there's a trail going this way, so I'm going to walk that trail out. I walked all the way behind my blind and out past a fence. I was like, okay, he clearly didn't go this way. Looped back around, and that's when I went back and got the other buck, drug him out, and waited for you. Said, hey, 3 sets of eyes is going to be better than 1.
No doubt.
So let's just do that. And I missed the path of least resistance. Like I thought I was on the one, and there was one in between the other two that was like, oh, there's another trail right there. Started walking that out. Didn't take heart very long. Went, oh, there's blood here. Went here, and what, within 5 minutes, Riley found him?
Yeah.
Yeah, within 5 minutes, like, oh, isn't that your buck? And I was like, thank fucking God, because I was starting to feel sick.
155, 10 point, really heavy. Definitely a liver shot on that one.
Yeah.
And I will say, I know it's on video. You're running through the scenario where you shot him. He went out to the field, skid, and he's just sick and standing there.
Yeah.
And then
when I could see the offside hole and I could see blood coming out.
Blood, but he stood there for if a buck runs 70 yards and just squirms up and just is like making this face. I don't know why I'm doing this. For 5 minutes, that's liver. And then he went into the brush.
Slowly.
And then he did not go that far into the brush. He died actually not that far from the shot.
Yeah.
But
pretty sure he knew he was dying. He's like, I need to get to cover.
And you did
walk
hit
as fast
a
as
little bit of lung.
I did hit lung and liver, and I will say the one thing, I won't use that broadhead again, and then I don't like blaming broadheads, but I shot him broadside, and his entrance was on the lung, and his exit was almost by his hip, so it changed direction when it hit him, and that's not a good characteristic.
And the other thing you'll
not
do,
not a straight line lead cut.
We don't love Light and Nox. Said it publicly, but I am using.
I will use Light and Nox from now on
because they show up on video, and then you started self-filming. You actually told me you weren't like super stoked to film hunts because it's kind of like you don't want to like mix business and hunting.
It's the one thing that I do in my life that I haven't turned into a job.
But I'm here to tell you,
it was fun
once you started doing it.
Yeah, I really liked it. But Jesus Christ, that gets so much harder. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
oh no.
Yeah, I shot.
You want to add stress to the scenario?
Yeah, I shot 3 javelinas, got 2 of them on film, and goddamn, that was stressful. And they're way more patient than a freaking whitetail.
Yeah.
Like I intended on. I actually shot one more deer that we couldn't find, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure I just missed his heart low.
Oh well, we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, but I intended on filming that at that point because I had filmed, I think the day before, a javelina.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, that was fun. That was like intensive and like trying really hard to get it in frame and get it focused, and then okay, now he can draw. Oh God, he moved. Got to move that, right? There's so much to that. It's like a whole nother level of oh shit. But I dug it, and then I pulled my memory card out to give you the file, and I forgot to put it back in the camera. I had the camera and everything in the blind on that deer,
without a
and
memory card.
no memory card. I'm like,
we're gonna talk about that. Okay, so because that happened later in the hunt. All right, let me
that
run.
was the second to last day.
All right, so again, we liked the exit on those whitetail specials.
Yeah.
But the way that those entry holes are, I don't think I would use it, and I never have. But just based on that, I was like, I mean, it's gonna work for a lot of people, but I don't like the small diameter entry hole. And then I would compare that to the Schwacker as far as same premise, like small entry. No matter what anyone from Schwacker tells you, we've talked to that guy. He's nice, but he's selling a broadhead. Dude, you're not gonna get a big entry hole with the Schwacker, but it does open up a virgin blade, and then gives you a giant exit hole. But it's only 2 blades. So the whitetail special is doing the same thing, but you're doing 3 2-inch blades.
Right.
So both are good, but based on my observations, I would probably look other.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna shoot a mechanical at an elk, I would almost maybe lean towards one that doesn't open until it's inside from the penetration issue.
Yes.
Right? Because I clearly had a lot of penetration, and I was a 2-inch blade.
Levi's killed a lot of elk with a Schwacker.
That's right.
And he's getting pass-throughs.
Yeah, and he's getting pass-throughs. So as long as you don't hit a big bone on the opposite side, you're probably going to get a pass-through a decent amount.
Yeah.
As long as you have a decent amount of energy, right?
Yep.
And they're only 2 blade, not 3 blades, so you're not cutting an additional third cut like a lot of these things are. And the exit holes are super impressive.
Insane.
But for like a deer, I want an entry hole. Like I want a big entry hole on a deer. I really do, because I think I'm still probably going through. Maybe not with a mega meat, because that's like.
Oh, we're gonna talk about the mega meat. That's coming up.
Yeah,
boys.
that's a couple of times I've seen a mega meat not penetrate very much.
Saved the deal on one deer.
It did. It did 100%.
Let me run through the deer I killed real quick. So my first shot on a deer was with Riley, and it was a 38-yard shot on a little management buck that was probably 3.5 and had terrible genetics. And I sent Cody the text, and we call Cody the whitetail Santa. You have to ask Santa.
I gave him that nickname and it stuck. I was like, that's awesome.
Hey, Whitetail Santa, do you want this buck out of here? And he was like, absolutely. And I was like, all right. So I'm like, Riley, roll 38 yards, slide, pull back. Now, 38 yards is kind of far on a whitetail. That's at a feeding area where all his friends have been shot and they're very on edge.
Yeah.
Buried the pin. I dialed to the exact yardage. Buried the pin on the heart, let her break beautifully. And I see that red knock. And it happened so fast. I look at Riley and I'm like, that blew through him, right? And he's like, no, you missed. And I was like, what?
That's probably exactly how he said it too.
Exactly. And I'm like, give me that footage. So I slow it down on this little LCD. I'm like, I can't even tell. I think I hit him. And he's like, go get your arrow. So I get out, arrow's clean. We get back, put on a big screen. You can put an X on the heart.
Yeah.
That arrow went through the X. The deer was not standing there by the time that arrow got there. And what's weird, Josh, and we watched this several times, I would say 50% of the deer don't move at all. And then the other 50% are matrix.
Are the fucking matrix.
And it's weird because the arrow is going, and you're like watching at 120 frames a second. So every time you hit a button, the arrow's getting closer and the deer's not moving. And then finally the arrow's about to hit the deer, and it seems like within the last millisecond, the deer can literally go.
Well, that leads into a theory that I've heard a lot that I can't prove or disprove. Like your original thought is they hear the bow go off and that's what they're reacting to. I'm starting to wonder if they can hear the arrow coming, because they're literally reacting right before it gets to them. Yep. Like the bow, it'd be interesting to do a test of the speed of sound at a given distance and what point do they hear the sound of the bow versus where are they reacting, and everyone that we recorded reacting, including the Havas shot, right? The arrow was in frame, almost to them, and then they move. So I think they're hearing the arrow.
They're not moving for like 3/4 of the time of the arrow's travel. It's like right when it's about to get there. And I'm shooting loud vanes. I'm shooting AE hybrid HPs. Those aren't quiet vanes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not that loud, but they're not. Anyway, so I told everybody when I got back to camp, I'm not hunting this spot. I'm not shooting at deer this far away. I want to be 25 yards and under if we're going to hunt deer over feeders.
Yeah, you got to be inside 25 because it shortens the reaction time. Yep. So if it is the bow that they're hearing, the farther away, they have more time.
Yeah.
Right? If it's the arrow they're hearing, they're going to get it at the same distance no matter what, but it's traveling faster, closer.
Yeah.
So it shortens the window either way.
So the next deer I shot at was the next day. Actually, no, it might have been 2 more days later. No, it was the next day. I hadn't killed anything yet. We were like on day 3 or 4, and no one had killed a doe yet. And we still had 20 does that we needed to kill before the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because this is MLDP property. They have a certain quota they need to hit based on the surveys that and the biologist consults from Texas Parks and Wildlife.
It's incredibly well managed.
Oh my gosh.
System. It's crazy.
Big mature doe steps out, and she's at 25 yards. And I shoot her, and she reacts just like the last deer that I shot at. She basically ducks down and lifts her opposing shoulder away from me to turn like this. So it goes in through her lung and up and nicks her spine and just drops her. And she makes this god-awful sound.
Of course.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to shoot her again. And this happens fast.
Yeah.
And so like she's going nowhere. And she's going to die, but I don't want her to suffer. So I literally take my eyes off her, reach down to grab another arrow out of my quiver that's not attached to my bow, grab the arrow, load it, hook on, look up. There is a bobcat literally with its mouth wrapped around her neck, choking her out. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Holy
now, we
shit.
are not allowed to shoot bobcats on this ranch.
Yeah.
Bobcats are legal to shoot.
Right.
But the owners... The the grandma, she likes bobcats. And they got a shitload of them there because you haven't been able to shoot them for 15, 25 years. So this bobcat's basically giving me the assist and choking out this doe. Doesn't take very long. She's dead. And I would say the bobcat held on to her, even though she was dead, for like probably 2 or 3 minutes. And I was like, this is incredible footage. Cool. What's a lifetime experience? And then the bobcat started trying to drag her away. That's when I was like, all right.
Hey, bitch, that's mine.
So I get out of the blind and walk towards Bobcat. Bobcat runs off, and I'm like, and this was early in the hunt, afternoon. So I'm like, I probably don't want this deer just laying underneath the feeder.
Right.
Let me drag her over by the ground blind. So I drag her over to the ground blind and don't see another animal for like the next hour. And then I hear something thrashing by the ground blind.
Yeah.
And I look over, and there, my deer's flopping around. And I thought, oh shit, she's not dead. Which, how is that even possible? And then I see, no, she's dead. The bobcat is back, and he's eating her. Literally. And I had to jump out of the blind, run him off or her off. And dude, I would say in 5 seconds, he ripped off her tail, and he ate a chunk of meat this big out of her booty. Like, got a big part of the hind. And I was like, I'm out. So that was the first deer I killed. Shot her with the hide.
Yeah.
So evolution hide, she matrixed, and then the next buck I shot was the next day, same place, about 26 yards. This was a mature deer. He's probably like 5.5, 6.5. He was a little bit broke off, but he was like at best going to be a 120 buck at that old, and he was not showing signs of a 10 point. He was like a 9.
Yeah.
Not heavy, but old, mature. What gave it away was he ran off there was like 3 or 4 bucks feeding, and he ran them all off, dominant deer. And then he started raking a tree in front of them, and I was like, okay, you're dead. You're not going to be a trophy ever. So I shot him with a whitetail Fury, 25 yards. I don't think he went very far. I think I made a really good shot, really tight to the shoulder, double long. He went, I think, 60-something yards, got him out. And then that night, I hunted a completely different spot and had another kind of like, not bigger buck, but kind of at his potential. He did have a kicker off his G2, but he was a 9 point. He was heavy. He was tall, but he was never going to be, never going to cross 150. He was never going to be in that. So shot him 27 yards, slightly quartering 2, hugged the shoulder super tight. And he went about 100 yards, which was surprising because I had blood spraying everywhere from the impact. You can see it. As soon as the arrow goes through him, you see blood pouring out. Really like those whitetail Furies is what I've decided. For whitetail, I'm probably going to look no further than the whitetail Fury. Have you got a chance to use those yet?
No, I haven't. I wanted to, but I hadn't get a chance yet. But I think the census from everybody was a hybrid style broadhead is probably the best thing for what we're doing. And I agree with that, actually, from everything that I saw. And I think there's like 2 or 3 new ones out this year from the trade show. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that going forward because that's probably the right tool for the job. Yeah. It's like a combination of the two things to make everything accurate and lethal and entry hole and exit hole because those typically do that. So you get both.
So then we had Travis Schoenberg show up. That's Cody's buddy, and I've known Travis. He's come to ELKSHAPE camps. I've shot tack with him. He ended up killing 2 deer in one night. Let's run through what he used. Do you remember?
I'm trying to remember what he used.
So he heart shot that first management buck.
Yeah.
And he used.
I'm trying to remember. I brought a whole bunch of broadheads and just threw them out on the counter and like, hey, everybody grab something different and let's just shoot stuff with stuff. And you brought a bunch of evolutions.
I literally can't remember what broadhead he used.
I can't remember.
Okay, well, the video shows it. And then the second buck he killed was a really nice buck. And this is the same night you shoot at yours. So this was a 140 class 8 point as well.
Yeah.
And this is not a trophy buck for the ranch. Yeah. They can do way better, but this is an old deer. And everyone been hunting them for years. So Travis was the first one to actually get this deer on the ground. He shot it with the Grim Reaper Micro
Hybrid.
At about 25 yards.
The other one was Carnivore.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the Carnivore he heart shot
it, and you could see the Carnivore in the heart. It was cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah, great entry, great exit.
Great entry, great exit. Impressive. Deer went 10 yards.
Yeah. Cam might be onto something.
Cam, you're probably onto something. So if I had to go whitetail special versus Carnivore, I'd go Carnivore, right?
Probably.
I mean entry exit was undeniable.
Great. Yeah.
And Travis aims low on deer.
Yeah.
So like for instance, that was a 25-yard shot. He used his 20-yard pin, aim for the top of the heart.
Yeah.
That's a good way to go. Yeah. Now that second deer was slightly quartering 2, that 8 point.
Yeah.
And he shot it with that micro hybrid. Definitely, he has the footage. We watched it back. We're like, bro, that's nothing but liver. You might have clipped a little bit of lung. Yeah. And so he decided to call dogs.
Yeah.
And in your situation, you also shot the widest whitetail I've ever seen that same night.
It's incredible.
How far a shot was that?
I think it ended up being about a 25-yard shot, but I was set on 20, and that's my own bad. I shouldn't have done that to begin with. I had multiple things going against me in this scenario, but one was that I was probably an inch or 2 inches lower than I was pointing. And I did the same thing on my big muley in Mexico. I was starting to get cocky because I don't aim at the heart. I aim behind the shoulder, halfway up, the biggest point to hit, right? Better opportunity. Like, is it the perfect shot? No. Is it the highest likelihood of death? Yes.
I like that.
And that's probably your smarter move.
That's the filter.
And I had that going against me. We ran out of blind chairs, so we threw a freaking desk chair in there.
Like an office chair that was stuck.
And it's way too high. So I'm like,
and you're
I'm
tall.
like, I'm tall, and I'm like crouching my stomach down and leaning forward like this to try to
That's
just
a recipe
see out
to
the
shoot
window
low right there alone.
I know there are like so many things about it. We're pushing all in the same direction. And I drew back 6 times before I shot that deer because every time I drew back, he'd turn back towards me.
So you have to let down.
So I'd sit there. I'd count to like 30 in my head and then let down. Because, all right, so and that might be a little tip for you. If you draw back and your angle ain't right, start counting a clock in your head. When you hit 30, set it down. Regardless of what you think or how you feel, don't try to hold that bow back for more than 30 seconds.
You're going to hit low.
You're going to hit low and you're going to be shaking.
Yep.
No matter what you do. No matter who you are. So, yeah, I did that 6 times. And by the 6th time when I drew back, I was already shaking pretty good. And I did not expect Whitetail Santa to give me a green light.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So I took like 3 pictures of this buck and was sending it to
definitely
Santa.
North of 150. We're talking another fee.
Oh, I don't care. I gladly pay it. But dude, things like that. I did get at least a couple of pictures
Cody
of them.
said it was 28 wide.
Yeah, old buck.
Did you guys hear what I just said? 28
inches wide. It's like it's not a mule deer. It's a whitetail. Like crazy wide. It just his horns just go out like that, right? Anyway, I fully expected when I first saw the buck to never see him again. Yep. And fully expected to be told no, you can't shoot that deer. And that's what fucked me in the head to begin with. Just being honest, because as soon as he said shoot, I'm like, whoa, like immediately my heart started going because I did not expect to be able to shoot that deer. Yep. So I didn't have any time to process it. And yeah, there's so many things going against me. And I'm pretty sure, like I hit that deer, I'm pretty sure almost the same exact spot that Cody did. I just missed the heart because there was a chunk of hair with skin that was white on the ground where I shot him at. And the coloring of the blood was not bright. Yeah. It was dark. And I followed good blood for 220 yards before it got dark. And then tore off, went back to camp, and sawed off. Tyler had already decided that he was going to call in the dogs. So I'm like, well, if the dogs are going to be here, I'll go after it. We went back to look. We're only there another 10 minutes before the dog guys called. We had to turn around, leave again, and go back and get them. So we only followed blood, and we found another speck of blood from the last time I was at, maybe 10 yards farther. Yeah. So we at least knew he continued down the same trail. He'd never left the trail. The dogs get there, and they sick him on Tyler's first. And they find him relatively quickly, come back, get me, because they only had so many seats in the rig. And we go over to mine. They let the dogs go, and the dogs take a little bit. They start really covering some ground, and then they start hauling ass and barking, which that means they found the deer, and the deer's running. And their conclusion after it, because he went like a mile. It's like, hey, that deer's fine. We're going to call the dogs off. Yep. And then they went back and went to it again, and him and I walked the blood trail and then walked the dog's path. And the hesitation I have on whether or not they actually found the right deer, which I don't know dogs, so I'm sure it's probably hard for them to not find the right deer. But that deer followed the same trail the entire fucking time. And 10 yards after the last blood, they took a hard 90-degree left and went 40 yards one direction and then started wandering all over and eventually took off. And we followed the exact trail the GPS showed, couldn't find another speck of blood.
I'm imagining, I thought about this. One, I think we'll be able to see if that deer shows up on camera again.
That's what I'm hopeful at.
To be honest with you, there's a lot of deer on this ranch, because 10,000 acres, that they don't even know about. Yeah. And they only have a handful of trail cameras. Yeah. So I don't know if we'll get confirmation or not on this deer. Mm-hmm. But Cody said he was going to move some cameras over to the protein feeders once they start feeding protein. A lot of those bucks will hit that. Maybe you'll see. I don't think you killed him. And I think maybe you and Cody, when you went back with Cody, you might have bumped that deer because he was probably chilling. Yeah. You could have gone that different angle. But I think
Where I stopped at and where they went left from, there's no way that deer was there because I walked that trail.
I think the deer lives is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I do too. I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced they actually jumped that deer, and that's what.
And what did you shoot him with?
My Mega Meat.
Okay.
Mega Meat.
Well, the Mega Meat on Cody's 160 plus buck saved his butt. When I saw the footage, I probably would have been like, "Ooh, man." Yeah. But I didn't see the footage first. I saw the dead deer in the back of his truck.
Yeah.
But then when we looked at it, it's like he was really just not impressed with the Mega Meat. He was like, "Look at the blades. I don't think they opened
only one
up."
opened. Yeah, is what he said.
And then we got to think about it, and I was like, Cody, I think the Mega Meat is what saved your ass. Those blades are so long. There's 3 of them.
Yeah.
And one of them nicked the heart. And if you hadn't had 3 long blades, I think it would have been really possible that you missed the heart entirely.
I mean, that broadhead could have been 30 degrees different and missed the heart entirely. And he is like, I don't think it opened. He gave it to me. I cleaned it off in the sink and whatnot. I was like, no, it opened. They had shut closed when they hit the offside because the force of it going doink shut the blades.
Yep.
I'm sure. But all 3 blades were bent.
Yeah.
All 3 of them were bent.
It's a one and done broadhead.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you're not reusing that head. But it does put a wicked entry hole in things.
Yes.
I shot my deer in Midland with it, and the entry hole was 2 inches.
Yep.
Looks like the open broadhead. So it definitely opens.
So we tested the Carnivore. We tested the Micro Hybrid. We tested the Mega Meat.
Mm-hmm.
We tested the Hide, the Whitetail Fury, and
Razor Tip Whitetail Special,
Razor
a
Tip
Beast,
Whitetail Special, the Beast on some halves,
a Fatal Steel.
A Fatal Steel on halves. All those options out there. We were there. This is not a hunt film. This is like go down. We're hunting.
Yeah.
We're trying to kill stuff, and we're doing after action reports on almost everything. So I guess summarize your top 3 that we used.
Evolution's going to be pretty hard to beat. Those seem to work really well. That design seems to work really well. I've always had phenomenal luck with the Fatal Steel.
Yep.
I have. The only reason I was trying other stuff was 1, we agreed to that, and 2, my both mule deer that I shot in Mexico was with a Fatal Steel.
Yes.
And it wasn't a great hole.
No.
And I don't know if that was thin skin, tight to the body, doesn't stretch, so it doesn't make a bigger hole, because almost every animal I had shot with it, I had really good holes in it, but I think it's tension on the skin.
Yeah.
And maybe when you have animals where the tension on the skin's a lot tighter, it doesn't give as it goes through. Maybe. I don't know. I was trying to understand it because I was like, God, these holes don't look very big in these deer I shot in Mexico. So I was trying to play with something else and get a bigger entry exit hole. God dang. Let me think real quick. My verdict's out on the Mega Meat. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely gives a good entry hole, and I think at the end of the day, we want a good entry hole, and a lot of them don't. Like Schwackers don't. That Razor Tip Whitetail did not do an entry hole. It's like a pinhole almost.
Yep.
I mean, the little cut, like smaller than a 7/8 cutting diameter. I don't, and I still like I shot that Hav with a Fatal Steel. It went through him and hit the ground and shot off into the sky. Like it went through him like he wasn't there. And that broadhead has always penetrated incredibly good for me and always given me an entry.
What is your total arrow weight?
Around 400.
Okay.
It's like 420 or something like that.
Cody was like 460.
Yeah.
Trav was 460. I was 450. We kind of had a mixture there. I would say the Evolution was probably the Hide or the Whitetail Fury. The way they're designed with that leading edge tip.
Yeah.
I think it would be okay if I hit something hard. I'd still get a big entry.
Yeah.
I don't know if a Mega Meat, you hit something hard, if you're going to still get the penetration.
Probably not.
And then I think the Carnivore would also potentially be something that could hit something hard and still get you some good hole.
Yeah.
For lack of a better scientific term. So what did we learn? We learned that some deer duck and some don't.
Yeah. We
learned body angle on a deer when you shoot it is massively important. Just ask Travis. He thought it was broadside. We review the footage. that thing's slightly quartering too, so you need to hug the shoulder really, really tight or just wait for him to turn. Learned a lot on your third buck, the big one. You know, hunching over in a ground blind is never going to be good for a good impact.
Yeah.
Pulling back, letting down 6 different times. And even though you got a long dong draw length and it was a 25-yard shot, dialing to 25 is probably better based on where you aim.
Yeah, I mean,
all those things. The dogs can find deer when they're dead. That was cool. Bobcats are real. Joe Rogan's the man. What else did we learn? Anything else?
I think that pretty much covers it.
What a hell of a... I hope we hunt again. That
Texas.
was
We learned Texas is awesome and everybody should hunt there. And what a... Actually, that's the biggest one I would throw out there is find a management hunt on a ranch. If you're new, like if you're new to archery or you're new to hunting and you need the experience of shooting an animal, because there is nothing that duplicates that or replaces that. So find a management hunt. They're not expensive. It's probably like $2,000 or less for the hunt. It'll include like a management buck, probably as many does, and then there'll be a list of type of characteristics that, hey, you can shoot any of these deer for free. Because they need that whole state that's in that program needs to kill those animals every year, so they might as well collect some revenue from it to clean out the gene pools and whatnot, and you'll get trigger time on hunting that you would not get any other way, and it's probably the least expensive way to do it. I know, yeah, $2,000 might sound like a lot plus your airfare and what have you, or if you drive, but you can keep all the meat if you're driving and you want to butcher it out and take it home in most of those instances. If you don't, they'll have a place to donate it to, so you don't have to worry about anything getting wasted. But getting the opportunity to shoot 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 animals over a week, huge. Like, nothing's going to replace that for you. So when it comes time to this epic elk hunt or this big real style hunt, which not to say this isn't hunting, but it's not the same thing, you'll at least have the trigger time. Maybe you don't freak out. Maybe you don't panic. Maybe you don't get your heart rate up like an idiot and do stupid crap. So I emphasize it a lot. It's a great hunt. That and pigs. If you can do the same thing on pigs, great opportunities. And Texas is full of those opportunities. Seek them out. Go look for them. And if we can find ones that you can actually pay to do, we'll encourage people and endorse them and put that information out there.
I got nothing else. That was
Boom.
it. Separation is in the preparation. We'll catch you on the next one.